Good evening. How you doing? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I forgot how to do this. It's been so long.
We
It's
took a
so,
Christmas break
so
and here
hectic
you
setting
are.
up again. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you're all well. Hope you had a great beginning of the year. I know it can be a bit hectic getting in that first week of the year. Uh, but it's really great to see you. I can hear like I'm on somewhere else. So let me just see if I can mute us somewhere. All right, there you go.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, all right. Hey, how you doing?
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. Glad to have had that Christmas break. It was great and happy to be back. This is the new year
Yeah.
and trusting God for big things.
It's going to be big
Really
things, big things, big things.
Yeah.
It's really great to have you guys here. And please, 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 wherever you're watching from, tell us where you're watching from. Tell us who you are, where you're watching from. Some of you are old timers. You've been watching Asking for a Friend for a long time. You're part of this family.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see you. I can see on YouTube.
Yeah, we have Lois Chalo and from Nairobi. Welcome, Lois. We have Revealed Evangelical Mission.
Like we need to know the name of the reveals.
who is
It's like
Revealed?
they're
Just
part of
say
our
who your
family. Yeah,
name
tell us
is.
what your name revealed. Like I feel like you need to reveal yourself.
Yes.
Like it's really nice to have you as well, though.
Yeah. We have Sheila Mukoto from Nairobi. Welcome. Actually, it's Pastor Sheila. Welcome. We have Rose Gatobu from Nairobi. Welcome.
Awesome.
Lucy Wanja. Welcome. She says she's been looking forward to this session starting. Welcome, Gabriel Ayucha
Oh, nice.
from Lolongo. And then we have Kichaka Delights
Kichaka
from
Delights.
Syokimau.
Oh, fantastic. We've got a
Anthony-
lot of Eastern
Yeah.
flavor today.
Anthony Karaoke to Collect.
Come on.
Espake.
Grace Dagger watching from, I believe, Karen. And then Abel Simiyu from Eastlands in Nairobi. Wherever you're watching from, it's great to have you. Just keep checking in, keep telling us. And Happy New Year to you. And it's great to have you. We're really excited. This is
Yeah.
going to be a fun show. This is going to be a fun month. This is going to be a good year.
It's a good, good month.
I'm really looking forward to it. And hey, we want to just welcome you to the show. If you have a friend who needs to be watching this, please send them the link. Tell them not to miss out. I loved just the comments we got in the last season. This is season 3, season 2.
Yeah.
Especially as we're concluding, there are so many people just shared how this has been a blessing to their marriages, how they've been just amazingly just blown away by being part of this community. It was so exciting just hearing testimonies about how many people just say this has been a highlight for them.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait to just continue this journey of mentoring, sharing with you. Part of the reason we do this is because we were mentored as a young couple. And so we just feel such a sense of desire to walk with others.
Yeah.
And as we walk with others, you also share with us and we grow together. So very, very exciting.
Great. It's been interesting to just see even the different countries. It
Yeah.
was so interesting. Right now we have someone, William. I will not dare say your second name. It's like, ooh, anyway, I won't say. From Kigali, welcome.
Awesome.
We have Miriam Atano from Abu Dhabi.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Actually, we have quite a few people who watch from the Middle East, especially around the UAE.
Yeah.
And so it's really great to have you as part of this family.
We have Richard from Mua. There's network in
Moore Hills. By the way, Moore Hills is a very posh
It's a
place.
beautiful
Don't make fun
place.
of Moore.
It's cold,
If I could
though.
live in Moore, I love that place.
And then lastly, Susan. Welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So hey, we are Moravia and Carol. For those of you who haven't watched this show before, it's called Asking for a Friend. And we are marriage coaches, we are pastors, and among that, many other things. You're a therapist as well.
Yeah. Yes. Not yet practicing. I think I do get requests for that. Hopefully, I'm going to start doing that this year. That's one of the things.
You sure you want to say that on air?
We'll just see the capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's Carol's news. She wants to start practicing again. And I am excited for her. I guess one of the things I told her back in the day is if you want to do big things, not back in the day, actually, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I say wait till the kids are done with high school and then you can do whatever you want. So I
Yeah.
think she's ready to do her PhD and all other things. And
Yes,
good
well,
for her.
on
Good
the
for you. Go,
PhD
girl.
side, I'm getting a little cold feet.
No, don't
but
get cold feet. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think you'll do well.
Okay.
So this is Asking for a Friend, and it's a mentoring space. Every week, Thursday 7:30
Tuesday.
and Tuesday 7:30. Why did I say Thursday?
Yeah, you did.
My goodness, we're so rusty.
Yeah.
I think we just need to get our vibe and flow
let me
again.
just tell you Happy New Year just to kind of refresh you.
So Tuesday 7:30, and it's just a space where we talk marriage, all things relationships, and so you're so welcome to be part of this. We have other things we do as well.
Yes. We are authors.
Yeah.
We're pastors, we're also parents, and I must say, humble parents,
Yeah.
parents of teens. Before our children were teens, we were experts.
Yeah.
Once
yeah.
our children became teens, we started fasting more and we were more humble.
That's true.
Yeah,
Teenagers humble you.
yeah, they do.
All right, so we also do Ndoa, which is an experience for couples who need to get their marriage on track. If you are planning to get married soon or this year, or if you are in a place where you just know your marriage did not have a foundation, then Ndoa is a space for you. So we want you to be part of that. And it's just one of the experiences, a 10-week experience. It's offered in different spaces. And if you're interested in that, we'd love to have you as part of that community. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the Ndoa community. The Ndoa community is it happens on Tuesday, and this is an online community where people join, and every Tuesday we do have questions that we ask online, that people ask online. It's almost like a peer mentoring space,
Yeah.
where people ask questions and they answer, and then in the evening we pick a few of those questions and discuss them.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
which is what we do every evening on Tuesday.
Yep. So if you like to join the Ndoa couples community, there's a link. It's on there. If you're already part of it, that's all right. If you've been part of it, by the way, and you don't get messages from us, a few people have complained about that. It's because you didn't save the number in your phone. It's a very simple little thing. So make sure you save our number and you'll be sure to receive the messages. But click on the link. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, just click on that link and it'll put you in the Ndoa couples community. And it's a great space for mentoring, for just growing. Every week we have different content that helps you grow in your marriage. But finally, we also have something we call Couples and Money. And it's a 10-week experience to help you grow in your financial oneness. And that's very relevant because we're going to be talking money today.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're going to be discussing. But before we go into that, let's talk about your highlight for the week.
My highlight for the week is very basic.
Yeah.
Very basic. I've been struggling to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has really been a struggle. It has been months.
What's causing the lack of sleep?
I think it was just some of the things that we went through last year.
Yeah.
I don't think I got to kind of unwind. I think most of you knew that I fell ill, and what happened?
COVID?
I had COVID.
I think
Yeah.
it's important to say.
Yeah, it's important. And what happened is that during that time, I started at night just being hyper vigilant at night. And then when we lost your sister, I just didn't get to rest. So somehow that just triggered a no sleep pattern.
That's
in
what
my
she
life.
thinks. She thinks that's a reason. But I know the real reason
What
why
is
she
the real
can't sleep.
reason?
Babe.
Let me not cheat
It's
you. I have touched you already.
it's you're the one who should be saying this, not
Yeah.
me saying it for you.
Well, I'm also 52.
Yes.
Yeah, but nobody.
It's basically perimenopause. Those are the symptoms.
I think there's a
of
layer. There are
perimenopause.
just many layers. in
Well,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah.
agree.
So anyway, so your highlight. Let's get back to your highlight.
So
But
I
that's
think-
I actually think that's what's really going on.
It has just been madness. And so this week I received some help from my psychologist friend, who we refer to people when people do ask us who is a good therapist. He's called Dr. Njero.
He's one of the therapists.
He's one of the
our team.
therapists, and he helped me. So I'm really excited,
Okay, and you're able to sleep.
and I'm able to sleep. Yeah.
All right. So, but you're doing other things to sleep. Maybe we should do a show on sleep because sleep is so important.
Tell you, yeah.
And I know
stress
you're
and
doing
sleep.
some other things about sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm reading a book
Reading a book on sleep.
on sleep and
You're
just
taking different
relaxation
relaxation exercises. You're doing different supplements.
Yeah.
You're taking turmeric in your tea as before you sleep.
There's a
You're,
whole
you're
science
taking
to
chamomile
sleeping.
tea. The whole works. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So one day we'll talk about that.
TMI I know, but I thought maybe somebody out there is
Somebody else
struggling with
might,
sleep
yeah.
or with perimenopause and just needs somebody to talk with.
Yeah.
Talk to them. So my highlight.
Uh-huh.
My highlight is What's actually my highlight?
Is there a B story this time?
No,
You don't
actually,
have a B story?
not this week. I mean, it's supposed to be this week. I haven't done anything with my bees this week.
Okay.
I think my highlight is that I actually have been very effective and very productive, which is an interesting time because we've been doing this is our 21 week of 21 days of prayer
fasting, yeah.
as a church. And so sometimes when you're doing that prayer time, you focus a lot more on prayer. And the weird thing for me has just been to see that I've been extremely like my effectiveness has increased. You'd almost think when you're fasting and praying that you'd be actually lower energy. I've actually found I'm a lot more effective. So I've been able to finish things which I usually procrastinate, and I'm a procrastinator with some things, especially when I don't enjoy doing something.
Yeah.
And I think my kids have caught that from me, unfortunately. So anyway, we're not going to take too long. I hope you've had a great week and that you have some highlights as well. Part of why we share highlights is because we want you to just
share your highlights
connect
as well.
with us, and
Yeah.
also I think it's a
say-
space of starting with Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We love to do that. But we want to jump into our show, and we have a special guest today.
Yeah.
And it's not their first time on the show.
Yes.
And so you want to.
It's actually their second time on the show.
It's their second time on the show.
Yes.
And,
They have 4 children
Yes.
ranging from 16 years to 6 years. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Run a successful wealth management firm.
Yeah.
Which is it's basically they help individuals and companies to manage wealth. So they are
Yeah.
wealth managers.
the wealth
basically.
managers, yeah. Very impressive, by the way. They met in university and lived abroad for 10 years, where they worked for renowned accounting, insurance, and banking firms. I mean, these guys just have a lot of information, wealth of information on investments, on money management. I mean, they're just amazing.
And
Just amazing.
and there they are. But the thing is, we have Alex Rourier. So please put your hands together for Alex.
Alex, woohoo!
Woohoo!
Alex Rourier.
And Alex was meant to be with Vera, but then we found that Vera can't come tonight. Alex,
Imagine
man, what's
that.
up with that?
Imagine that.
Like
Uh,
she's
you
your
think
better
I'm
half.
enough.
Let's just face it. She's your better half. So we don't get the, it's like what's up with that?
Yeah.
no, she says she thinks I'm enough, but yeah.
please take the message back. No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, well, you are enough, but she definitely adds spice to you.
She's a beautiful
Compliment.
half.
She's a beautiful half. Yes, we'll leave it there. That's politically
leave it there,
correct because
yeah.
I'm sure Alex doesn't want to be
He
called
doesn't want
beautiful
to be
anyway.
called beautiful.
So, but it's really. I'm so glad you could still join us.
Yeah.
I know that you had a bit of a issue at home, and she needed to help the kids finish some of their work, and that's okay because she's delegated, so we know that it's in good hands. By the way, Alex, I mean, I need to really. This one you have to talk about because I discovered something about you this last week that really tickled me to death. Because the last time I saw you was at Vera's birthday, and I discovered that you did not understand birthdays before you got married,
No.
and your wife was the exact opposite. Please
Hey,
just
that
talk a
was
bit
fun.
about that for a sec, because I think it might comfort
was-
somebody here who is
yeah.
in a similar situation.
Yeah. I went to boarding school very early, so and my folks, if you look at their history, they were fairly traditional. So the issue of birthdays didn't even feature. I remember only one birthday before I really met Vera as such within a family setting.
Like growing up, one birthday that was celebrated.
Yeah, one, and that was a combined birthday for my sisters. And I was very lost what it was, but I'd had other people having birthdays, but I didn't quite know what the fuss was about. It was not necessarily celebrated my end. It's not something we, it's like one day people will wake up and find out there's Christmas in the world, and they'll be like, what's that?
Yeah.
And that was me. So I
that's,
had
that's
one.
you,
day
but
was a birthday.
your spouse Vera was completely the opposite.
So my wife has celebrated every birthday from when she was born has been celebrated. So there's a big do, there's friends, there's chapos, there's ndengu, there's chicken, there's planning, there's friends. So when she then hooks up with me and I'm like, what is that thing you guys are fussing about?
Yeah.
Definitely not within the kind of thing that I would have bothered about. Of course, I read a few magazines that said if you want to please a girl, remember anniversaries. But I don't remember my mzee doing it, and my mom seemed pleased. So
She seemed
I just
happy
thought,
with one.
You know, that's so fun. And the thing about your wife that I really found amazing is she's not just like a normal, like, I like birthdays. Like, for her, it's a thing, it's a big deal.
yeah, I mean, there are things that you can do to get a divorce, maybe some adultery, some things which are really offline, like which I think are normal. But in my house, add that to like at the top of the list is forget an
Forget birthday.
anniversary, a
It's
birthday.
over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Last year, I obviously surprised her by taking her to India and to Taj Mahal, and she says, "Listen, I didn't know that was a birthday thing. I thought it was business. So I've tried to tell her it was a birthday plan, and she's like, "Listen, there is a way birthday plans are organized. That
They're
one,
separate. You don't tack it onto your business trip
no,
and call
they
it a
can't.
birthday.
So yeah, I'm
Oh
learning.
my gosh,
I'm
this
still
this thing
learning.
called marriage is complicated, to be honest. Huh? But I
Yeah.
have to say, Alex, last week you organized a surprise. I mean, you made
You did it.
you represented the male species. I mean, I was proud of you, my guy. You got this whole thing where the whole day you got her not understanding. She thought you'd forgotten. Only in the evening to find herself in a really nice restaurant with all her family and her greatest friends, and just she was over the moon. And I just thought, props to you and thanks for representing us.
We have to walk the talk, my friend. You've told us to walk the talk. We are walking the talk. It's tough out here, but
All right,
it's tough.
all husbands out there, if you have excuses, you didn't know what birthdays were, look at the guy. I mean, he is not pulling excuses. He's just doing what he's got to do.
Yeah.
Just very proud of you, Alex. And I think you're an inspiration to all of us. So it's great to have you here, and
Yeah.
we're really looking forward to the conversations today. We're going to be talking money, and I don't know. I guess there's been every week in our Andoa community, we have conversations, and people just talk about the topic at hand. So we just shared about money, and one of the questions we asked people are, what are some of the money mistakes that you made, that you've made, or what are some things you wish you knew about money before you got married? It was just fascinating just to see some of the conversations that people had.
Yeah.
And I mean, you had some things that you noticed as well there.
Yeah. I mean, it was very interesting. In fact, there's one lady who said, I would actually not even want to invest with my husband. I mean, I'm happy for us to just, just to remain, apart, and for everyone to do, exactly what they want to do. But maybe as we're starting, Alex, and I guess you'll just have to represent, now that Vera is not there. Maybe you can just say, because people are coming with different views about money, when they're getting married.
Yeah.
And maybe you can just begin by telling us, what were your views and what were Vera's views? I think you guys have been married for a pretty long time. So
Not well.
I think it's
Feels
been
like the
what,
other
17
day.
years or 16 years?
16.
16 years.
16.
So I'm sure you
Yeah.
know her views very well. Vera is not a woman who does not, I mean, she's very vocal about, what her views are. But maybe you can say, what were your views and what were her views about, just handling money?
Right. Yeah. So we again, we were north and south. Vera thinks that, and rightly so, money should be built up shilling by shilling, slowly by slowly, we because of also upbringing, she saw maybe money being an issue when it's shared in terms of when we have a joint scenario, then the other partner, or there was a risk in the families she had seen of money being misused. So it's like, the person who was the most conservative should manage money so that I portray, in I wish I could say the words in English, but it's like you money is like earned like birds; they just fly away. That's the cute
If you're
version.
not careful with it, it'll disappear basically.
Yeah, it's like birds; they're always flying away. So the person who knew how to tend them and to keep them should be the one who's left to take care of money, which obviously meant the most conservative approach is the one that works. Um, Now, that assumes that then there is a scarcity of money.
Yeah.
Therefore, you must keep all the time, and whatever you and little expenditure. So
Wow.
that was the idea, and you will survive by keeping little by little.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately I didn't come from that school of keeping little by little. My theory, or where I was brought up, was very different. You've got some ideas that can make some money, and then at some point you will dilute expenditure. you know, like you'll make enough money and dilute expenditure. What's the issue with this little by little and hiding?
So just spend it
Um,
because it's gonna come and you'll dilute it anyway.
Actually, now the thing is, I don't spend money, but I don't focus on our issue being about expenditure.
Ah,
I
got you.
always focused on the opportunity, can we make it? So, but rather than concentrated on whatever we have, can we keep it?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we tended to be saying the same thing, which is one is make and the other one
Is
is
keep.
save,
Yeah.
but it's a matter of which one the other one was concentrating on. And I was very bothered that she thought that the way to make money is by keeping it, and she thought that she was worried that I kept thinking, we the only thing in the world you need to figure is how to make money. So I'm not a spendthrift, but she also has her fear about stepping out into and doing big things to make money. So she believes in the saving. So we were kind of worlds apart, but both concepts which are necessary in making money. So
Yeah.
before I understood her and she understood me, I used to think, who told you the way to make money is to save?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she would listen to me and think, what's the obsession with making so money? If you make so much money, if you make little and keep it, you will eventually have a lot. So we were kind of just rowing in both in different directions, but they could actually head in the same direction.
Wow.
Now it's
So we
interesting
just
because
had very different ideas.
I think
Yeah.
with maturity, with time, you're able to just look at those very objectively and see, okay, this was her perspective, this was my perspective. Um, was there any friction at that time? Were there any challenges that you guys faced because of those two opposing views? Especially because you're both in finance. How did that play out?
Obviously, and more so, especially our first 3 years or so of marriage were a proper ruckus, because there's also the issue of leadership. I thought my ideas should lead. Like, where are you fitting in with this, conservative model? So we had a lot of friction. She thought I didn't listen to her, and I thought she wants to go nowhere. So I'm like, this
Yeah.
chick wants to go nowhere. She thinks I'm not listening to her. And you see, I'm right in my space. She's right in her space. But I could not see the right in her space.
Yeah.
So I just thought, what's with this chick? And then she would look at me and listen. You're not listening to me. So you don't care about me and where I want to go. So it was a real good fight, because you're both right, but you're also wrong because you're not listening to the other person.
That's true.
And
Wow.
that caused us a lot of friction, and we were happily going to just go apart, because I'm so convinced I'm right that the other person must be wrong. I could
Yeah.
not think we could both be right. That concept was really not
It's a
in my
paradigm.
mind at the time, or her mind. So it
Yeah.
took a bit of rejigging for me to stop and listen to her and understand her character, for me to see, okay, those are her main concerns. Doesn't mean it's an issue with me.
Yeah.
It's just that that's her main concern. I was not brought up like her. So her concerns, how can I address them within my own strategy? So, we had to bring each other on board about each other's major concerns. I can't, you know, when I think that there is so much money to be made in the world, I could not take that pessimistic view. That listen, there might be times when there is no money, so you need to have saved. That's what she was trying to say.
Yeah, yeah,
On the other hand, I was trying to say there is so much opportunity in the world. We cannot think that there is about these little pennies all the time. And she had to come on to my side as well to understand that for me, I see opportunity. And for her also, even from a training perspective, I'm an investment manager. I think about business in terms of growth. She thinks about business in terms of risk and can we take care that we don't lose what we've made. So
absolutely.
by the time we both understood where you're coming from, we had caused each other some good pain, and
Yeah.
God really did show up.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting as you talk because I think so many couples are in that space. Even just look at the community today. So many couples really struggling. Like Carol said, there's one person who just flat out said, I don't invest with my spouse. That just doesn't happen. And it's just because of that space where you can't imagine you can both be right. It's my way or the highway. It's such a painful space to be in. And I know that you guys didn't just walk out by yourselves. You got help, and people walked
Oh, yeah.
with you, and you're able to do that. And so I think it's just an encouragement to anybody watching.
Yeah.
There are tools out there. You don't actually have to struggle or suffer by yourself. And especially men, we kind of think we have it. We think we have to have all the answers. And I think that can be a very dangerous space to be in as a man because then you watch your marriage disintegrate and then it's too late to make a difference. So I love what you're saying. There's a space to be able to actually start to see my wife's strengths and to see that she has something that I need. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, without sounding spirit, we can't really beat God's design. He wired something in me that he knew my wife needed, and he wired something in her that he knew, Alex, you need this.
Yeah.
Now, the day you submit yourself to that fact, you stop thinking about yourself and start thinking, if I was a very wise designer and I built a mortise and a tenon joint, I meant for them to work together.
Yeah.
And I had to sit down and think, okay, first of all, God did create this lady, and he created me, which means he could not have been doing this with fault. You cannot fault God in the
Yeah.
way he designs.
Yeah.
So you need to think, okay, what is in her that he put that I must pay attention to? And that I really asked myself that question, and I said, this designer must have thought there's something in what she's saying that
Yeah.
I need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And even without her talking and trying to convince me, there was this thing in the back of my mind saying, by the way, remember that God knows what he's doing with this creating different people. So what exactly could it be that I'm not hearing from what she's saying, purely because maybe she says it with making faces and referring to whether I'm educated or not. So there's that cloud of English being thrown at me.
Yeah.
Versus just listening and thinking, okay, by the way, she must have a point somewhere here, because there's no way God created you and he meant for me to just suffer. There is something he wants to communicate. And I really understood that sometimes you need to listen because God could be speaking to you
Yeah.
through your partner, and you're refusing to listen because it's represented in a human body that you think, huyu anajua nini. So there's always that fact that you've got to remember that your partner is God's representation in your life. He's trying
really
to
powerful.
perfect you and to
Yeah.
fill those places that you have got.
That's really powerful.
That
And
was
yeah, what a great revelation. And I mean, it's one of those things. I know somebody in the group said, you know, before I talk to my family, before I talk to my brothers or sisters, my wife is a person we have to talk finance. And I think that just that realization that God did not make a mistake in giving me this spouse, and there's something in her that I need. You know,
Yeah.
if I had all the gifts, then one of us would be unnecessary, and that's not the plan of marriage. So there's something she has that is probably equal and opposite to what I have. And the reason I'm not saying it is because it's so different from the gift I have that it's easy to ignore it. But true marriage genius is beginning to actually appreciate your spouse and her opposite strengths or his opposite strengths. And stopping to resent that, but actually beginning to enjoy it or appreciate it and what it brings. So that's really, really well put.
Yeah. So today in our conversations, we also were talking about mistakes that people have made in their in their investments. And I know you talked about yourself and Vera and the fact that she's more conservative, than you are. And I think usually for people who may not may be risk averse, there's always the fear of making a mistake in the investments. And so that was a question that we asked. And I don't know, have you made any, I'm sure in your long life and
These
in your.
guys, I mean, you're both educated,
Yeah.
serious financial gurus and geniuses. You help other people.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah.
in our view, like in our world, people like you don't make money
Don't make
mistakes.
mistakes,
So
yeah. I
we
don't
just
know.
weren't sure whether that's even a relevant question to ask you.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if you have made any,
Yeah.
yeah, some investments that you regretted.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to, your test becomes your testimony. Isn't that what we say? Your
Yeah.
test becomes your testimony. You are really not a monopoly of knowledge. So even in your financial knowledge, there may be some market knowledge that you miss.
Yeah.
You could do all the financial models, but then when it comes to real life, there will be some few challenges. We've made some terrible mistakes
Yeah.
occasionally, and significant, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And part of those mistakes, one, in part of my employment, I was working in an environment where credit was extremely available.
Yeah.
As in, I would sniff credit and it would be like in my bank
Available.
account
Yeah.
in less than I could say, aha. The guy who sat next to me was a credit appraiser, and I
Wow.
was always a guinea pig for testing new products. So, I would turn and they'd be like, oh, you need like 2 millis. No, I don't. Yeah, but, there's something I'm testing. Let's see whether it will work as efficiently so that we can see there is something called TAT, turnaround time. We want to see from when you apply to when the money gets in, how long will it actually take? Or I don't know, there's this new credit card, we want to link it to this thing. And most times I imagined that because of my salary, I was always happy I would pay it back. And over time, it started making me think, oh, by the way, how can I apply this money? And that is the wrong way to go around it, because when the push is that the money is there, that you must make decisions, you make hasty decisions.
Yeah.
So, I sat down, I'm looking, okay, I have all this money always available. What can I do with it? It's not something that I knew, but I had money. So I made some decisions. We entered some businesses. They looked smart at the time, but I didn't do the full market analysis. I did the financial analysis. And like everybody, I see a spreadsheet. And when I do the numbers, I'm like, we
They
are
look
making
good.
money. We are making money. And my friend, I
Vera
wrote some
didn't
big
say.
checks.
Vera didn't say anything at that point, or it was
Let's
too
just say,
late.
because remember, she's not being asked to come up with the money.
Yes.
So, and whenever you hear we are going to make money and you're not being asked to come up with the money, you are kind of like, that sounds okay. So, of course, she mentioned, maybe we need to do a bit of research. And I told her, hey, Goja, wewe una hiyo pesa, I am the one who knows. I made some mistakes. We obviously not so blindly. We did some research, and in fact, it was research over 3 years. We had done the research. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I woke up tomorrow and went and spent the money. I did research over 3 years. We started what is today a model farm that was, at least in our area, that was even studied by universities, a poultry business. We started a horticulture business. We did a few things, and they were so at the top of their game in terms of the quality. It was the best. I supplied the airlines. If anybody else supplied there, the chefs complained, wewe hii yako si kama ya ule jamaa. So in terms of getting it right, we had got it right. What we didn't think too carefully about were, okay, what if market dynamics change? For example, what if government regulation changes? do we have sufficient capital to ride out the period of learning the new regulations? What if we were hit by a major disease? Are we operating so close to the edge of our capital that if one shock comes, sisi tumetoka kwa game? Are we growing too fast? You don't want to learn the game when you're too big. When I did the maths, I was like, maybe I start with 2,000 chicken. So when 5% of 2,000 die, that's 100 chicken. Hey, where do you take them? Who buys dead chicken? And what do you do? And then, by the time you do recovery, it's all so expensive. So you start at the top, and the learning curve is so steep. By the time we decided to pull out, the fire was too much. The challenges were coming fast and furious. And we had committed at the time. Well, there's big money and small money. If I mention the numbers, really, I'm just mentioning a number, not for big or small. But at the time, I think we had sunk just short of 10 million into the business, and we had all the accolades. People had ticked the boxes.
That's $100,000 US. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, about $100,000 US, and we had all the accolades. The business looked well. I had vets on the farm. We were getting 98% production. But then the market dynamics changed. Government changed some laws, and that became very. We had not thought of those things. So we should have tested it for some time before we went big. We should have agreed to grow slowly, see all the drama, learn, and then, but then again, now listen, I was funding this partly through credit.
That is such a powerful lesson, Alex, because so many people need to hear this right now. Ease of credit, and that's one of the things we teach a lot, is it's a risky and it's a high risk place. Whenever I see somebody flush with cash starting a business, I'm always scared for them, because you can buy your way into looking good, and you can have a nice office and a nice outfit and have all the quality, but you don't have the experience. And that's what you're really talking about, is Proverbs even talks about growing money slowly as opposed to rushing into it. And so it's interesting.
That's so interesting. So Alex, fine,
we've made mistakes.
Yes. Which ones have we made? Well, I know about the dog project that didn't quite work out.
I've made so many mistakes. We've made so many mistakes. I think it's also the same. It's not doing enough due diligence, not enough piloting.
Yeah.
But also, I think for me, one of the things I'm learning as I grow older is just seeking. The Bible talks about the abundance of counselors.
Yeah.
There's wisdom. The Proverbs talks about that. And I think there are situations where we've not really thought through our options well enough, or maybe just didn't have the right people around us. And I think I'm learning about the importance of just putting yourself in a community with the right people. So I think and you're one of those right people, by the way. Just having people like you around us just gets us to think right about money, because it's very easy, especially like you're saying, when you have a lot of money, those people who have jobs and are earning cash, you don't realize how many millions are flying through your hands every year. And it's very easy to make, to use the money in ways that you look back 5-10 years and think, my goodness, now why did I ever think like that? So absolutely. I mean, I talked to a guy this last week who told me he bought a hotel. They're now putting it on the block. They're selling it. They've bought their money. He's actually just going to come out with they're breaking even, basically. He's just barely making it out. But he told me, had I thought through this 5-10 years ago when we started this business, I had enough cash at that point to retire for life. I had enough money to just invest and get passive income for the rest of my life. But then I foolishly, without getting the advice, I threw all this money into a business. It's burnt now, and it's almost like you're in your 50s and you're starting again.
Yeah.
So there are those kinds of mistakes. But today we're not going to be talking about big monies like those. We want to talk about small money.
Small money.
Because a lot of people would be saying, I don't have 10 million.
I don't have access to even that.
I don't have access to credit. I don't even have. We barely are making ends meet. And so we just thought of a random figure, and we said, could you invest if all you could put on top of your savings, on top of your expenditure, is you're just able to clear 5,000 shillings, which is $50?
$50.
$50 every month. That's all I can spare. I mean, we're looking at, I mean, it's a humble amount. But
Yeah.
Alex, in your nice suit, wealth advice, give high net worth individuals advice. I only have 5,000 shillings. Please help us out. Can it be done? Is it something that you tell somebody, you know what, just give up and die? Or is it something where you'd say there's actually hope for you, even if you have that kind of resource?
Yeah, so obviously, when I'm not wearing this suit, I'm I do a lot of advice out of the suit. Forgive the suit today,
I was making fun of
but
you, by the way, please.
really, yeah. So if you cannot make little money, you cannot manage a lot of money. That's the unfortunate truth. If you cannot manage a little money, you cannot manage a lot. If you look at the experience of those who have made a lot of money, and especially those guys who come about the money without having thought too much about it. I lived in the UK for 10 years, and I used to study all these guys who win the lottery. Most would end up in jail, broke, or worse off than they were before they won the money. So really, it's not a lot of money which really just does it for you. It's the mental game which gets it right. Your preparedness mentally. I mean, if I remember, and I have staff, I have members of staff. And obviously, the conversation we always look at on a tea farm, I have members of staff, and the things I tell them is, if I was to pay all of what you need to make it in life, I would not survive as a business. So I have to teach you also how to manage your resources. And I also had to learn how to manage the little so that it could grow to a bit more. And it's still growing. So we have not gotten to where we can say until it's a lot. It's really just growing. But the concept is the same, whether it's a lot of money or a little money or whichever one you want to call it. It's all relevant, relative. First of all, is the discipline to accept that if I have a little, let me keep this little space until it becomes enough to do bigger things. So don't try to do big things with a little money, because then your money will disappear very quickly. So look at what can I do cumulatively. Maybe if it was investment, and I will go into that to compound my wealth. But more importantly, there's always strategy depending on where you are. If you are at the bottom, we keep saying at the bottom of the pyramid, the game is a margin game. So when you have a little money, what you need to do is look for where you can make good margins. When you're at the top of the game, you do a volume game. You produce a lot. So if I have 5K, there are various ways I can do to get margin. One, I can look at a business that I can conduct at my 5K level. Like now, I talk to my staff, and I tell them, listen, if you just accumulated this money for 3 months, that's a half a bull, right? Half a bull, at the butcher. And then when you buy half a bull and you take it to your guys over there, you can really sell it for anywhere around 45% profit easily. If you look at a kilo in my neck of the wood here, you'll find about 500 being the price per kilo of beef. If you then walk just slightly away from the tarmac where I live, you'll find it at 300. So I mean, in 3 months, you can start making 45% returns, and you can do this a couple of times.
Wow.
What I've trained.
So Alex, let me just get this. So you're saying 5,000, save it for 3 months. That's 15,000. Then you buy half a bull.
Yes.
And then now you
yes.
Okay, then you get 45%.
Your net margin will come to about 45%. So you'll be making 6K out of your 15K roundabout. Per transaction, by the way, per bull, you'll still be walking away with 6K per bull. So I know guys who buy this every day. So essentially in about 3 months, his 15K is making him 6K nearly every other day, because it depends on where you live and you can get higher volume
So
business.
I love what you said. And sorry, just hold your thought because I don't want you to lose your train of thought. I love what you're
Yeah.
saying. You're saying if you're at the bottom where you don't have a lot of money, what you want is margin. If you're at the
Yeah.
top, what you want is to look for volume business. That's already a
Yes.
principle that I think is a new principle for people and just worth.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is when you've got little, first of all, don't invest the little, accumulate it, which is where savings come in, to the
Yeah.
point where you have enough, then you can actually invest it, and
Yeah.
then look for something that you can provide that will give you a margin back. All right,
Yeah.
that's very very helpful. Keep going. Yeah. So what? And this is the kind of advice you give the people that work with you on the tea farm and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about the businesses they are doing. So I have looked at my employees and my staff around here and what they are doing, and I can tell you they make they make more than their salary. But you see, they use their salary as the base instrument to leverage them to that space. But I've taught them, instead of going to credit, do savings. Okay, so let's agree you will get out of this rat race, but can we go into the savings route? Then I'll show you how you will get out of the rat race a bit faster. So I'll give you like my driver. So I'll give you an example of a driver, and so he has children in school, and we're always having a conversation. I fund some part of the school fees, but I told him, for independence, let me show you what you do. You have this 5K you are able to save in a group. They have this merry-go-round thing.
Yeah.
And I told him, take 10 months, 10 months. And since you've been with me for more than 10 years, take 10 months and save the 5K every month. Month 10, you will be the one who receives the, what do they call it? You're the one who receives the 50K ish.
Yeah.
So he receives his 50K plus his salary for the month, and he bought a second-hand motorbike, right?
Okay.
And he then, we live near a fairly populated area on the main road there, and he will, during his free hours, take and drop a few the border things, and he makes 1,500 up to 3,000 in a day.
Oh, wait. This is while he's still working as a driver.
Yeah, because one is driving me like permanently. I'm at the Majani. The Majani is dropped once a day, and only in the morning he has to drop milk. What is he doing the rest of the day? I mean, my kids are at home. I don't know. There's not much going on. Okay, it's just that I can't come from the office and go and take my journey.
So he's basically doing your business runs, yeah, with the farm. So then that gives him a lot of time to be able to run a side hustle in a sense.
Yeah. So he initially started by now doing it himself, and eventually he then hired somebody who they now divide the profit 50-50. So he then hired a driver for the border. So if you do the math, the guy is able to make 1,500 to 3K. So net on a daily basis, let's say he makes 1,000 bob from his border,
which is
and
10 US dollars basically.
Yeah, he's made $10 in a month. He's made how much? He's made $300.
$300, yeah.
So in essence, in another 3 months,
30K.
he's buying another motorbike, and he has employed somebody else. So today he rakes in at least from what, because then they come to me and I see their income, and then I advise them what to do next. He has bought a piece of land and done all these things. So he's now on about 4 motorbikes. He has employed some people, but he's still in my employer because I give him free housing, and and he's happy to stay here and get more advice.
Yes.
And for him are really bottom, and he's probably taking 80,000, about $800 a month, which is more than I pay him by a mile. Like by very far.
Considerably.
And that is just by teaching him. It was patience, then The money he got the first one, he saved. In fact, he has a jar. I tried to tell him to go to the bank. He was like, Apana. He has a jar where every day he puts the money. So when he goes to buy the next motorbike, he goes with a jar. He
With
knows
400K in
and
it.
buys the next. I find it so
That's
mind
insane.
blowing.
So I think I love the fact that what you're talking
Wow.
about, and I think for me, first of all, can I apply to be your driver? Because I mean, this is just phenomenal. It's better. I think all of us need to learn to do this because we're people who work for us. And I love the fact that you've not just paid him a daily wage until he leaves your employer, but you've actually created wealth, significant
Yeah.
wealth for him. But I was going to say, I think the principle I'm picking here, and I think it's so vital what you've said, because you've talked about the fact that most people go for the credit game, and you counsel people to go for the savings game. Because I mean, one of the people in the Noah community said, if you've got 5K, save it. Similar scenario, by the way. Save it until you have the end of the year. You'll have 60K, which is $600, and then take a loan from your circle, which will now make it 200K, and then now use that to start a really serious business. And again, it's just that whole thing of where have you gained the experience to start a business worth 200K? You're basically doing what Alex did with his 10 million at that point. I mean, really, that's exactly what the person was counseling. And I love what you're saying is use your savings. And I actually think you're much more careful when you're using money you've earned than when you're using money you've borrowed. Because this is money you've actually sweated for every cent. You're going to take a lot more diligence and thinking as you invest it. So that's very profound. I love the example you've given. And so you're saying that's just one example of somebody that you've helped to start in that direction.
It's just that I cannot name names, but if you come to my you, this is the guy. This guy is now doing he buys chicken and roasts. His wife busy area, and he's able to build the business for his wife. And I mean, I think we think big very quickly. We kind of want to move from 0 to a million very quickly. But I can tell you that guy, like the guy I'm telling you now, I look at his life and I think this guy is actually living more comfortable than I am. Because when I consider what my salary is versus what I can save, can you imagine generating, probably, if I give you a number, let me tell you, probably his salary as a driver is about 15,000 net plus this kind of thing. So even call it 20,000
with housing and yeah.
Now he's able to make 80,000. Now you translate where you are and think that's like 4 times your salary in passive income from some other area there.
Exactly.
How many people are doing that? Because then he went. I got them, and they built these mabati houses, the very low-end housing. And when you look at what they've done in the rental, they collect that rent in Runda. So when you look at they can make at the bottom of the pyramid by just being patient. I also observed the same thing about a group somewhere that built an exit using, and they were able to build a 9 estate. The idea of being able to, okay, I have a long-term plan. It's 2 years, 3 years. So how can I build up to, guys will see me show up in town 3 years from now, but I need to build my game slowly, and then I will get there. Because that guy is he got the 3 motorbikes in under 2 years. And today you can't stop him. I mean, I don't pay for his school fees or anything now. I have other people. There's a lot you can do if you concentrated with the little. But I also like the story of I look at Asia, because India is like one step ahead of Kenya, right? And I look at guys like Ambani and I listen to his story. Mukesh, he started the same way. I mean, he was selling bottles that his uncle drank the night before. So he sold the bottles, accumulated, got a bike, then hired his friends because cool to do the distribution, but started with a fairly but he had, this was 1966 to now, the guy is worth $74 billion. People hear him at the $74 billion. They didn't hear him when he was selling bottles for scrap and those kind of things. So if we learn to accumulate slowly, and then when you get to a point where you think, this is a lot of money I can't handle, get a mentor. Because even for my guys, when they started seeing 80,000 a month, the next thing is like, hey, boss, what do we do with this amount? Because now I can't be buying borders every month. I can't be buying motorbikes every month. What else do I do? And he'll come back, we'll sit down and we'll have some ideas. Or, you cannot, you're a gentleman, you cannot live on my property all your life. You've got to acquire somewhere for yourself. So those kind of discussions, are a mentor, and they will help you step by step to get somewhere. Yeah. So as it increases, increase your spectrum of advisors.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you're saying, that I'm just finding it very profound, because I don't know, I feel like there's such a hurry to get rich, especially with the younger generation today, and there's just this thing of you have to get it now, and it's almost like fake it till you make it. You have to get into big deals as quickly as you can, and I think what you're talking about, the delayed gratification, it's very countercultural, where somebody's just willing to say, I'm going to be underground for the next 3 years, I'm going to be underground for the next 5 years. We're going to build slowly and not take untoward risks, not blow up our capital looking for a deal, because that's what people are looking for, is a deal, the tender, the whatever, the thing that will project me from poverty to riches in a day. But to be willing to just build slowly, build your capital, nurture your capital and build it slowly. And I think that's so different.
That is quite different.
I mean, I talk to us, our kids, even today, it's like they want the Nikes, they want the whatever. They don't know the value of those things and what it takes to actually build. And so it's almost like the materialistic world we live in is pushing us to just want to move in a hurry.
Yeah.
But what you're counseling is, no, go at your speed. Go at the size you're at right now. Don't try and compare with other people.
Yeah. Now, Alex, I had a question, and as you're giving...
And as Kara was asking that question, if you have questions of your own, just put them on and we'll make sure that we get a chance to throw them at Alex as well. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, the example that you're giving us here is people who are working for you on your farm. But the reality is that there are many people who are out there working in the corporate world. And for them, getting even that 5,000 every month as extra is a problem.
Yeah.
So for the sake of somebody who is listening over here and they're saying, okay, we have had you, I'm living from hand to mouth, I don't even have that 5,000 shillings, but maybe they are feeling a little motivated and they are saying, okay, maybe I can cut out one or two things here and there and I can get the 5,000 shillings. What opportunities would be available for them? What can you tell them? Okay, with 5,000, these are the things that you can do.
And I think, if I'm earning a significant salary and then I'm just scratching by and hardly even getting the 5K, when you tell me about bodas, I'm looking at it and thinking, man, the kind of cash I handle.
Yeah, what is a boda?
So let's talk to that person now he's not a farmhand, he's a corporate worker, but then he's just not even able to get that.
So we're just saying, okay, let's just this year work with 5,000.
Contextualize it.
Just what would someone like that do?
Let me start even lower than that. I start with nothing.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. I have networks. Okay. I have. I live here. I live next to a school. Okay.
Yes.
School requires product every single day. They require product. I need to build a relationship with the people in that school because those guys consume number of consumables.
Wow.
And doing my poultry business, they bought every day. They bought eggs, right? Because we had a good relationship. And the question is, open your eyes around you and see what are people consuming near me, who we have a good relationship with and are credible. One of the things that dealing credible pairs. They have, for example, near me always needed printing, right? Have really all these product printers. The question was always, can you give me what you need printed? I go to the guy who has a printing shop down the road. I print for you guys, and at the end of the month, we calculate what you owe, you pay. So the only thing I needed was my time to take their work to the printing guy who print test papers, and then at the end of the and I pay the guy his relationship.
So it's not just having money; it's networks. You can leverage your networks. You can leverage your time.
Environment, what is needed.
Yeah.
Whether it is a guy who needs a certain supply and this kind of thing. Remember, even in your corporate space, you are able to identify what is needed in the market. I mean, you have 24 hours in a day, and quite frankly, when you are in a rut, you need to get yourself out of it by broadly. So you look at, in my environment, what could be missing, who could I supply, who can I link, because your relationships, your networks can really tell you, like now I look at, we are doing a construction, and the guy who's doing part of the construction, let's say the windows, he will sit and tell me, look, Alex, I can't always have windows lying in my warehouse. They have to be sold. The question is, will they be paid one day? So if somebody came and told me, hey, I've seen 10 buildings here which need windows, and you have windows, can you come and supply to them? I can always, arrange and deliver to them and give you something, because you are able to talk to the person there. So what is your relationship? So build trust, and that becomes the first source of capital. Trust, relationships, network, that will require zero capital. The only thing now you might require is now a delivery service, where a guy tells you, drop this phone to so and so. So you have to pay the border guy, the motorbike guy, to make sure it's delivered. Start thinking about those kind of things that don't need capital first.
Yeah.
So that is zero capital in terms of shilling, but it is possible. I have seen it. I see it a lot.
Yeah.
So then let's move on to and I'm able to get 2,000-3,000. There's a strength of groups, right?
And if you allow me to interrupt you just before you go to groups, I think there's a couple of things there that might be hurdles for people, because number one hurdle there is learning to look for opportunities, seeing problems, and then seeing yourself as a problem solver, because that's what you're really talking about. It's a mentality where I'm like, what are the problems around me? I'm always looking for them to solve them for people, because I know if I can solve people's problems, I get paid. Typically, we especially Kenyans, I know there are other people watching this show, but especially Kenyans, we look for problems to complain. But you're saying look for problems to solve, because that will change your perspective. When you see people complaining about something, that's actually an opportunity for resource. But I think along with that comes the whole idea of the value of a shilling, the value of a dollar. Because you're talking about make 3,000, make 1,000. But Alex, I can tell you for a fact, I mean, if you're earning 150,000 per month, if you're earning 100K a month, that 1,000 shillings, you lose the value of it. And you don't actually, and I speak as one who's been guilty of that in the past, where you look at it and say, 5,000, seriously? I'm going to use my time to make 1,000 shillings. I'm going to use my time to make 2,000 shillings. That's not worth my time, you know? So I'm waiting for the day that I'll get the big deal that will give me 50K. Because I feel business that gets me 3,000 shillings, 4,000, like your worker, that's beneath me. So that's a hurdle, I think, a mental hurdle that the value of the dollar, the value of the shilling.
Yeah, I mean, the accumulating it is something that you may see it as a single transaction,
Yeah.
but in many transactions it adds up. When I see the people who are institutions that are doing, for example, photography, and they need a camera.
Yeah.
So you are a group of 10 guys who can come together, buy I don't know what DSLR for 80,000, 100,000 in 2 months, and you have this guy who's in photography, and you kind of are you find that they are able to command some fairly interesting income from things, creatives, investing in creatives, in the arts is a space where they just need some little equipment that really creates a lot of value. So you may not be the one who does the dirty work, but there's a guy who all he one or two equipment to create a lot of value.
Yeah.
So you could take your 5, 10 guys and you and you find who needed the equipment, and we got it and it made the money. Like I look at some businesses, and when they tell you what capital they require in order to make some really serious amounts of money, why don't guys get into this? Really, um, if you're shy to do it yourself, get a group. There's a strength in the numbers to put it together to afford you guys the ability to to make some impact to somebody who can make a bigger picture in where the money can be made. They're really, I see that. I know guys who are in photography. I know guys who are in restaurant services. I know guys who are in Uber services.
Yeah.
Done by people who have then grouped together, because I don't have the time to do that kind of,
Yeah.
there's no success that was getting your hands really
So in a group, we can actually bring our resources together and then invest in some space that we may not be able to access ourselves, but somebody else can actually carry that.
Yes.
So you're saying it is possible, even if you're the place where you've been used to sitting behind a desk, it's still possible to invest even with little money, as you're saying, by first of all learning to see opportunity, learning to value the shilling, but also learning to work with others and to leverage the strength of others. But he also talked about also leveraging your other skills, leveraging your networks. Some people watching this are very networked, and that's a skill. That could be the one thing you have that really brings you a lot of resources, is the people you know and the relationships you have, or your intellectual gift, or your skills. Let me ask a question about you said something once that was very intriguing to us, where we're talking about couples and the value of couples working together. And you talked about when you assess or when you're a venture capitalist assessing a business, and you find that there's a problem in the marriage, that already becomes a red flag for you. And you talked about just the fact that's why it's so important for people to learn to work with their spouses. Maybe you can just mention that from a venture capitalist perspective. Why is it so important, even with this little money, that you learn to work with your spouse, even when you're in that space?
Yeah, okay. So there are some things about one, sustainability. If people can't work together, they don't know how to do what you call stakeholder management. And stakeholders are people who could be cynics or critics. And that happens either it could be your spouse, it could be the government, it could be anybody. But the most central space is the marriage relationship. That's where you have a regulator who is your spouse. And if you find somebody spouse, it means they don't want to be. For me as an investor, I start having some fear when somebody doesn't want to be regulated, when they don't want to do stakeholder management. You really need and know how to manage their expectations along the way. So when I see people who cannot manage that very basic relationship, then you wonder, okay, you don't have a bond, a real bond, and they want to manage your business and they want to come in and be the CEO. How are you going to manage this relationship? Of course, that tells me there's some stakeholder training you need to go through, and of course, it's something that you think if you're going to put your money there, you can already see red flags. So you know when people come and they want to invest, some of our partners, the first thing they look at is the vision, because if their vision is also not aligned, nobody wants to deal with founders whose vision is not aligned. At some point, people are pulling in different directions. It causes drag on the business. It causes double expenditure on the business, because we have to test your idea first, test mine separately. After there is a meeting that I have called for, then you will not come. And there will be major fights. There's just no alignment. You know, well pointed, spear, because it's the one that creates the least drag, and therefore you can go farthest. So if you find a relationship where people are not sharp at the front, and that's
Wow.
like trying to throw a spear which is like this at the front, it will meet a lot of drag.
Yeah. I mean that's really profound, because I think there are a lot of couples listening to this, or people who are married listening to this, and it's just one of those things where somebody would say, "Well, I'd rather do it without my spouse." But what you're saying is, it actually does, even from somebody who's not watching not look at your marriage from a moral perspective. They just look at it from a pure business risk perspective, and they say you are a higher risk because you're not aligned. And that when you're aligned with your spouse, you're actually somebody, even a venture capitalist says, that's one business risk out of the way. This is actually a business that's safer because of that alignment. That's really profound.
Yeah, that's really.
Are there questions? Maybe we can ask a
Maybe
couple
there's
questions
just
from
one
the.
question, and I know we are running out of time. And the interesting thing is that we actually do handle these things in couples and money. But I'll just ask this. This is Beth asking, what about treasury bonds and money market for the middle class? So I'm assuming here someone is saying, I don't want to venture into any business. Can I just simply put my money in treasury bonds and the money market?
Everything is about your goals. If you're trying to achieve the goals in a shorter time frame, then you need to have a more aggressive portfolio. If you do have time, then you can really invest in money market securities, T-bills, treasury bills, the treasury bonds. If you don't have the time to do that, you can go into a money market fund, which is a professionally run collective investment scheme, which trained fund managers will assess and negotiate for various government securities, fixed deposits in banks, to give you a good return. And when you compare, the various returns between an actively managed portfolio and one which is passive, if you just leave money in a passive space today, I was listening to my parents getting a rate from one bank over a year, and I could hear numbers like 3 to 4%. And when I know that for no extra effort, they can walk into an investment manager's office and say, can I put it into a money market fund, which is the same, risk level, if not lower, because it's a diversified space, and they will get rates of round about 8%. So, you just or 2,000 or as much as you can when you can. There's no, and when you look at this accumulation over 5, 10 years of continuously generating, and because also you're growing in your experience and your employment and your salaries, and the amount you can save starts changing, you find over time, like, I was just reading a story of a guy who was saving 200 shillings a month in a money market fund. and I think in under 10 years he had saved 800,000. Now it just doesn't sound like a lot of money, 800,000, but from 200 a month, or was it daily, to 800,000. I mean, small ended up as a big number, and he ended up buying a matatu, and now he has quite a number. I have a relative who has probably about 16 of them, starting from one, which is in the same way. He has 16 matatus on the road, and nowadays when he comes to my place with his Prado, because the guy saved from 200 bobs a day and was putting it every day in this kind of investment.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity to start small, save in a money market fund, going to, I think Safaricom has something called Emakiba. I'm not advertising for their purpose. I just know it's a good thing. You get a good rate, 8% or so, and you can equally easily. So there is the opportunity to save in that fashion. In the same way, there is opportunity to borrow. There is actually opportunity to save and make yourself successful. It's just that there seems to be a greater push to borrow than there is to save. So the opportunities are there. And then, once you accumulate and you get to a certain threshold, you are able to move from, let's say, the basic where you are in a T-bill or in a corporate bond, you probably start getting a high. So you are able to scale up over time and also build your experience and exposure. And you find that from that very little amount you think that is little, it tends to build up to some good. Align your goals. When you know, listen, this saving, I am ready to just patiently wait until I get to a certain point. For sure, you will get to that goal. I've hardly seen somebody who has put a goal, at least from our client base, that I don't see them achieve it, given that they have aligned their minds to it.
I love it. I love it. And we're going to be concluding soon. Somebody said, this is such wisdom. Is it possible to hear from a lady on the same topics? I guess somebody wanted to hear a woman's perspective. I guess that's what Vera would have brought. So just let her know that she was missed by some of the audience.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have them back. We'll have these guys back, because I think this is a topic that we're just beginning to dig into, and a much, much needed topic. Let me just ask, you guys did Couples and Money last season, and it was just one of those things where, you're both professionals when it comes to money. You're also I'll say professionals when it comes to marriage, because you pretty much are also counselors. You've helped so many marriages as you facilitate Noah. What was the benefit to you? Was there any benefit of doing this course together?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity to learn exists all the time. You think you've gone so far up, and the opportunity just comes up in your mind. There's always this space that I appreciate, and I appreciate it when it came up. Having the regular money dates with my girl there. We can imagine things and discuss them in the car and do all these things, but to sit down quietly and uninterrupted to go through that, where are we and our goals and those kind of things, to have that money date. I mean, it solves so much, because I find that sometimes you have pent up issues, and then, you don't even know what they really are. And you think you've been talking, but you've really not been talking.
Yeah.
I tell you, one of the things I loved about the couples, there's this exercise you also got us to do on active listening. I'm just used to talking, and when Vera tells me, I will. There's that bit where you say what you think, what you had me say.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like, sorry, that's not what I said. I mean, it's really good to go through that space and quietly listen to what and respond, so that the other person figures whether you hear exactly what they said or you're hearing your own thing. So I think you think you have to learn at every step. When you go to that class, initially, you could have said, I know everything there is to know, or I should, but there are always new sound bites that you pick up and you're like, oh, yeah, actually, that's something that I did not think about it. I appreciate you guys were, at least Carol, now I know you did psychology, because now when I look at those things, I'm like, somebody thought about this thing, because some of the things that were challenging us, they just come out and you sit down and think, oh, that has been a problem that I was not seeing. So really, the idea of really just having that to have one-on-one active listening, and not just think that because we discussed it in the car, now we have discussed it, and we are ready to implement. That happens a lot, especially from me as a guy. I tend to think, since I mentioned it to my better half, she must have heard what I said. Then later on, what I've learned the whole communication space and
Wow.
Issues around debt and those kind of things.
That's so good.
There's always the opportunity to save. I pay attention to that a lot, and those were very key, at least for us. Among the other very useful things we picked up. So
Wow.
those stick out, and even now we are doing those exercises with the children. Just to hear, did I, hear you correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And even with my members of staff, and especially even with my mzee, my old man, I try to tell him, so let me get you right. He just thinks, this young man, where did he come up with these stories?
This is so good.
But it's good what you understand, so that we're on the same page.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for that. And by the way, I just want to say it was really great to have you guys. This was actually a very star-studded class because we had you. We had one guy who has a PhD in finance.
Yeah.
We had all kinds of really amazing people that have done the class, and now actually many of them are going to be facilitators, and including you and Vera and other people in the class who are going to be leading their own classes. And so I think one of the things I just want to say, I mean, if I could even just summarize some of what we've talked about, is we're saying it's never too late to start. It's never too late to change your perspective. You must learn to work together when it comes to your money. There is so much out there if you would just begin to put your things together. And somebody might be thinking, all we have right now is 5K. All we have is so little. We're just barely making ends meet. But even that, with the right guidance, with the right wisdom, is actually more than enough. You can actually break through and make it. And some of you, obviously, it's not 5K. It's more than that. I know there are people earning a lot more than that, but still greatly in danger of not succeeding when it comes to your financial desires and your goals. And that's why it's so important to just take time out and invest in your future together as a couple. I know that you say you learned from us. We've learned a ton from you, and I think one of the things we've said with Caro a couple of times from you and Vera, after chatting with you and Vera, is, man, we should have met these guys a long time ago. I mean, they'd have saved us a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of just being in the right company with other people who are challenging you as you challenge each other and grow together.
Yeah, there's somebody who has commented, and I think it really is really what we're talking about here. And they're saying, there's one party, obviously their spouse, they're not on the same page. One of them is fearing pulling their resources together, and she's wondering what is the next, what is the best way to go about it. But what we're saying is that couples and money is precisely for that reason. It helps you understand why is it that there is fear of even pulling resources together. What is it in your background? I think, Alex, you said there was some psychology. Yes, there's a lot of psychology in couples and money because we do explore families of background, families of origin. What is it that even makes it difficult to have that money conversation? What is it in our background that does that? And so couples and money is geared to do exactly that, to really help you understand where each of you is coming from and to resolve your financial challenges that you might be having. and it helps you not only just do that, but it helps you build not just a common vision, but it also helps you grow your finances together.
Yeah. And maybe I'll also just give a caveat and say if you really feel like your marriage is in trouble right now, it's not even money, it's everything.
Everything.
Then DOA is a great tool. And you could sign up for that as well, because that now gets into just the basics of marriage. Making sure we have a foundation that we can build on, because maybe you want to build couples and money, but you don't even have a foundation, and the space there for you is DOA. And if you're in a place where even DOA won't work because your spouse is not even willing to take the step with you, then we have a bunch of counselors that are friendly, that we've talked to and are available for you. So just, again, join the DOA Couples community. The link is on any of the platforms you're watching on. And let us know what your need is. If it's a counselor, we'll refer you. If you need a counselor where we've got professional counselors on the team, we've got a couple of pastors as well. Most of them will charge something small. And so you can tell us if you really don't want, if you're really in a place where you're pressed, let us know as well. But we've got a whole bunch of people who are really good and who are experienced in helping people walk the journey. But so what we want to say is there's tools for everyone.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in doing couples and money, it's a phenomenal experience. And I know that we're seeing enough transformation through people as they take that journey together. So Alex, thank you. This has been a fantastic, thank you so much for just being willing to do this. And even just being able to say, I remember your comment was like, okay, Vera is not able to make it, but she's delegated. I can do this. So, and surely you've represented her well.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you've given us a lot of wisdom.
Short.
Yeah, parting shot. Please give us a parting shot.
Parting shot is really fear is a foundational issue. That one you can have it without anything going on. You can have fear of money in the relationship and everything. Courage is gained through experience and learning. Have courage in something you don't know or you've not been trained how to do. So couples and money definitely give you the courage to have the conversation with a successful financial relationship with your spouse, because you then have been trained to talk about the right things. So there's when it's dark, there's fear. Courage comes up when there's light. You can see, you know. So really, the courage to opportunity to have the courage to have those conversations with spouse. So really, you have given us happily let spouse throw in the money discussion, and today I'm very happy to have it even with my spouse and openly. Something that was done with, I wondered what will come up. The courage to really just
to have the
so thank
difficult
you for that.
conversations. Yeah.
And thank you so much, Alex. I know that Alex is available as one of our financial advisors in Couples and Money, and I think it's just for those people who are doing Couples and Money. So I think if you have enjoyed this session, these are the kind of conversations
And resources
that will
be available.
These are available to you at Couples and Money.
So we want to just conclude in prayer. And again, thank you, Alex, and thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
It's fun doing this with you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just conclude for us in prayer.
Okay.
I just pray for couples who are in those spaces, maybe just really struggling at the beginning of the year. I love Alex's parting shot, which says, fear is the enemy. And basically, courage will come, but courage will come as you take the steps to learn and to confront the fear through gaining knowledge and gaining wisdom about your situation. So don't stay paralyzed. Make this your year of learning. Make this the year when you say, I'm going to invest in something to grow me. Don't be stuck where you are. Just say, let me take a step and learn something I didn't know, because hopefully as I learn it, it'll help me confront the fear and take a step forward.
Okay. So I was just wondering, for those who want to do Couples and Money, is there a link that we can...
Yes. Just join the Noah Couples community. Just press that link, just to keep it simple. And once you're in it, let us know, and just send a text to that on that WhatsApp, and just say, hey, I want to know about Couples and Money, and we'll be happy to send you all the information or any of the other things we've talked about today.
All right. Okay, let's pray. Father, we're thankful for today. Thank you, Father, for all the things that we have learned. Personally, I've really been challenged that it's possible to make money out of nothing. through networks and so on. And so I'm praying, Father, for everybody who has tuned in that truly this would be a year when we would choose to make a difference, a year when we would choose to grow in our finances, a year that would even choose to grow in our education of how to go about it well, and a year when for couples here, people would grow in their financial oneness. I thank you for Alex, and I thank you for Vera. I know Vera was not able to join us, but just the very fact that she's supportive of Alex being with us, I truly thank you, and I bless God. I bless you, Lord, for her. I pray, Father, for this family that's just so amazing and just so gifted, and who are so willing to share about investments. I pray, Father, that you'd multiply the work of their hands, you'd bless the work of their hands, and that you'd cause them to grow and to meet the financial goals that they have. For everyone listening, we ask, Father, for your blessing and for your spirit to rest upon us. For we pray these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you, guy. Please pass our love to Vera, and we're going to have you guys come again in the show because you have so much wisdom for us. God bless you and have a good night.
Bless you.
Good night.
Good night.